What do you mean you spent $1,000 on a fishing rod? The receipt you gave me said it was $100. What's up, guys? My name's Geoff. That's my wife. This is My Wife Still Likes Me. Today, we're going to dig a little bit deeper into how to handle financial infidelity. And forgiveness is not always easier than permission. Than permission. How are you?
I'm great.
You are wonderful.
Yeah, I feel like this is going to be a little bit of a harder one today, so buckle up.
Yeah, this one's deep.
Yeah.
Let's do a question.
I know the answer to this one. Would you rather be vigorously tickled nonstop for 3 hours or not eat for 3 days, and why?
Not eat for 3 days. Because I don't want to be tickled.
Yeah, you are so anti-tickle.
Oh, man.
Yes. That one's hard. I don't I would get to a point where I'd probably not breathe, but as long as I could breathe, I think I'd be fine with the tickling.
Nope.
I know you wouldn't.
I'm not going to eat. All right. Financial infidelity is an interesting one.
Yes.
And without any science to back this up, I feel like from the people that we talk to is a unconscious issue that nobody wants to talk about.
No.
Like, we know it's a problem, but we're floating in our eyeballs, but we made our minimum payments, and I'm just not going to say anything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Marriage.com describes financial infidelity as the concealment of a financial decision from the spouse, buying something or making a financial decision without doing it together. And I immediately thought of all of the commercials about buying cars from Thanksgiving to Christmas of surprise your spouse with a new fill-in-the-blank car this season. I'm like,
with the giant bill.
That's a 10 to hundreds of thousands of dollars purchase without talking to your spouse.
It's an investment.
Which for us is not like, we have pretty set standard how we spend money together kind of things. But I know, like, we talk about the joke as guys, and I maybe have to surrender my man card for this. But the joke is, do you want the receipt for your wife that says what you told her you paid for it, or do you want the real one? And we just don't have that. Like, if we need something, if it's a tool or it's a necessity, we go get it.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, but also in our finances, we have made a really good goal of discussing these things where we're at. And even though we've both run the checkbook at various points in our marriage, and we always discuss, like, we're doing really good this month, or we're not doing good right now. I know exactly where we're at. You know exactly where we're at any given time.
Yeah.
So.
And that's a regular thing for us. And we also, we share passwords to bank accounts and stuff like that. So there's not, buying something in our house has to be in cash because we're going to know.
Yeah. But, and also, I think it's important to note, and not a knock on anybody, if you guys have separate stuff.
Oh, yeah.
That's on you.
Absolutely.
But we also have, everything is shared. We have a shared bank account. We have a shared savings account. I'm on all of the credit cards. You're on all the credit cards. Some of the credit cards are in my name. Some are in your name. So, we can see these things.
I guess the business stuff is a little bit different. Like, I have business stuff that's separate.
That's
but
different.
You can see it, but it's anyway.
Yeah.
So the issue is, it's not just the hiding of the financial decision or the concealment. It's the loss of trust in the relationship.
Absolutely.
Right. And that's not something we don't think oh, what's the big deal? He went out and bought a fishing rod that cost $1,000. I'm like, yeah, but what burden does that put? And it's not to guilt or shame. That's not, because arguably, when we've done it, we have it. Like, there's no need to pile it on, right?
Oh yeah. Well, and I think it's important. It's not the $1,000 fishing rod, because, if that's your sport, if that's your hobby, and that is going to help you excel, by all means, go for it. But if you are barely scraping by and you're going to have to make the decision between putting food on your table and leaving the lights on, that is financial infidelity. That is you
Yeah.
making a decision for yourself above your family. And I think that's where the sting really comes into play, is you are choosing yourself above your family.
Yeah. And it hurts, and it's difficult. But it can be recovered from, right? The first step with any problem is admitting you have one.
Yes.
And so both sides of this, it takes a lot to come clean about a problem.
Mm-hmm.
So as the person who's going to hear about the problem, we have to reserve judgment, right? There has to be a lot of grace. Try not to bring my other job into this, but you have to let them share and let them get out. And the person who has done it, come clean and be honest.
Yeah. But on the other side of that, the person who is receiving that news too, you need to give them that space to walk away for a minute and digest.
Yeah.
Not everybody can sit there and take that kind of news and process it quickly. I know myself, if you were to come to me when we're strapped for cash, and not that this has happened, but if you were to come to me and be like, oh, I just bought a new car, but we're trying to save for a house, or we're barely scraping by, or whatever that circumstance is, I cannot process that quickly. I would need to walk away, and I would need to have that space to come to the understanding. I'm going to have a ton of questions, but I need to be able to process. And so on both sides of that, it's not that, obviously I would be upset if that was to happen.
Yeah.
But it's a mutual respect.
To draw on past shows, have this discussion within whatever your fair fighting rules are.
Yes.
Because it's going to be heated. But in our case, we don't yelling and screaming doesn't accomplish anything. No. We established that a long time ago. But we try very hard to make sure that we have gotten to a point that we can go to bed. Yes. And there are friends of ours who that's not an important thing. If you're tired of me, go to bed. We'll try again tomorrow. Yeah. We can't do that. That's
I can't.
Not us. If that's your style, if you have to wait a day.
Nope, that would trigger me too much, but you do you.
Yeah.
The other thing too is, if you're going to have that kind of a conversation, respect your partner enough that you are not dropping that bomb in a public place. You don't want to be in the middle of a restaurant and be like, oh yeah, by the way.
Maybe you do. I don't know.
Okay, be prepared to have the cops called on you. Realistically, if you need to admit something that you have done wrong, it is going to show more character for your spouse, and it's going to go a longer way to reestablishing trust, because you've broken trust. You need to take the right steps forward. So obviously, if it comes up you're at a dinner party and someone, hey, we all going fishing this weekend, don't forget to bring your new fishing pole. Obviously, it's going to be outed, but that's a little bit different.
Yeah. Be nice. It takes a lot to come forward, even if they got caught.
Yes.
Together, you need to understand the damage.
Yeah.
What does this do to your life goals and your plan? And you may not be in a spot where it's that extreme. If you're financially doing okay and it was just more than expected, that's one thing. But if you're trying to, rub 2 nickels into rent payment, you need to understand what this does to your long-term goals, your short-term goals, paying the internet bill, stuff like that. From there, make a plan to recover from the financial issue.
Yeah.
Together.
Yep. And one of those things could simply be sharing passwords sharing credit card statements, because unfortunately there is a very real problem of people opening up accounts in their spouse's name, and that spouse never knows about it until they go to apply for a house, and surprise.
That'd be so weird.
It happens, unfortunately. So that is, don't do that.
Yeah.
That's horrible. Don't do that. But if you have done that, whether it was intentional or not, I'm not here to judge. But if you have done that, this is your sign to tell your spouse.
This one I think often gets overlooked. Make a plan to recover from the relationship issue.
Yeah.
Because that is also equally a big one. Like the financial issue needs to be planned for. Our children are stomping across the house. It's okay. But make a plan to recover from the relationship issue. Like the trust bond that's broken.
Oh, yeah.
Like financially, that's a thing figured out. How are we going to recover from this?
Mm-hmm.
But relationship, like connection, like go on a stunning date.
A stunning date, but also
this is exactly what we said
I
not
know.
to do.
I know. Don't do that. But realistically, like if I was to do something online, let's say it's online, to create that distrust, one thing that can help is letting you have all my passwords. Like there's tools to allow that. I mean, if you are an Apple user, what is a keychain, whatever, allowing your spouse to have access to that. If it's something that you have done physically, and there are other aspects that this could apply to as well, but letting that your partner have access to your phone unlocked, or even, and this is just a personal thing, like location services, like allowing your spouse to set that guideline of what it's going to take to help them reestablish that trust. Because it's not the fact that like we have shared location services. Part of it is for me, I have anxiety. If I hear a noise outside and you're not home, I want to know, is this something that I need to protect against? Or are you just home and the dog is barking at you, kind of a situation. But
that happened yesterday.
Right. But it's the same kind of a thought process. If you have a financial infidelity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it has to be, I want to say agreed upon, but
sorry, our children are running amok again.
But arguably, if you're the one who has done the thing, do you have to be like, okay, and just take it all? Like whatever I say yes. Like, if I went and spent $1,000 on a fishing rod and you wanted to have blanket access to everything, I'm committed to us.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't care.
I would. Now, obviously, like we have a different kind of relationship, but if you have a situation like this come up where, let's say you have spent our savings that was supposed to be for a trip or something that we're doing as a family or whatever, if you have gone and spent that on a fishing rod or whatever, and you have broken that trust, and I go to you and say, you know what is going to help me reestablish that trust and bond is I want to see your phone. I want to see the accounts that you have set up. I would like to have passwords. If you resist and if you tell me no, you're going to break that trust further. Now, do I think that you should have blanket access to everything? Obviously, within reason. But if you just say, no, I don't want you to have access to my Amazon account, my next step is you have had financial infidelity. What else are you doing behind my back?
And I hadn't thought about that. We share everything.
I know we do. But to give the other side of what could go through someone's head.
And I don't think about stuff like that because I'm with you. Like if you're hiding financial stuff and you're not willing to share that, what else are you hiding?
Mm-hmm.
I'm like,
but it's also like if you are willing to reestablish that trust, here's the thing. The other side of that coin is, you know what? maybe it's close to my birthday. I don't want to give you access to my Amazon account because I don't want to ruin the surprise. If you're giving that precursor, that can go
That's
a
different.
long,
Yeah.
But if you just say no
Mm-hmm.
without any context, you're going to break that trust.
Sure.
But if you tell your spouse, you know what, it's really close to your birthday. I don't want you to see what I bought you for your birthday or anniversary or fill in the blank. I want it to be a surprise. That is going to help to reestablish that trust. Even though you're not always going and giving into 100% of the demand, it's all about rebuilding that trust.
Yeah. And we'll get to...
That got a whole lot deeper than you thought. Sorry.
No, that's fine. It's getting through like the birthday presents and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like before we get to that though, the next one is to get outside help if necessary.
Absolutely.
Like if you're at a point where, and we talk about this at the end of every show, financially, like if it's a financial coach or a therapist to help you recover from financial
Mm-hmm.
issues or relationship planning, go do it. Obviously stick within your budget. But if you can't figure it out together, there are wonderful counselors all over the country that can help you figure that out.
Yeah. There's a lot of resources too.
Yeah. So that gets to what about the grand gestures and the little things that we have said to do? The number one answer is budget. Like plan for those things. Like you can, it sounds weird when I say this, but it does not ruin the moment if you know the budget that I have to spend for your surprise.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's where some of this comes from is like, but she knows that I am only allowed to spend $300. So she knows it's not going to be this ridiculous thing. And I'm like, it's the thought, knucklehead.
Yeah. Well, one of my, so I think we talked about this in the grand gestures. So 1 year after we had our daughters, you bought me Kelly Clarkson Pentatonic tickets, or us. We went it together. That was
yes, I did attend the event.
He went with me. But you came to me and you said, you cannot ask questions. This is a surprise. Are you okay? And I don't remember how much you said, but you told me about how much it was. And you said, are you okay if I spend that? It's a surprise. And I think you said it's for your birthday or it's a surprise or something.
Yeah. Like, but that goes back to open communication. But if you don't want to like have a conversations about it, but like we budget for things like that. We plan for things like that, and it doesn't ruin the moment. And if you think you need to go beyond that, have a different discussion.
Yeah.
And then I went through the idea of what did we call allowances?
I don't
discretionary spending.
Oh, just, yeah.
Anyway, for me, like if that was one of those like surprises and I know that I have this much to spend that I don't have to ask for, right? Use that for you instead of car parts.
Yeah.
Right. Or however you want to use that. Right. Put allowances. I don't know the adult word for this one, but use your discretionary spending on your spouse instead of camping gear, fishing rod, blah, 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 whatever. Funny story. I actually don't like fishing.
I know, which is hilarious. You keep saying fishing rod, and I'm like, you would never do that.
No, I would go buy car parts though.
I know you would. But I mean, there's also been times, and I think there's been 1 or 2 times there was something that came up and you had to make the decision in that moment. I think you bought a book series or something.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah, that one. Yeah. Oh, it's right there. Forget about that.
Yeah, you can see it. Yeah. That is a one-off.
And we had talked about it. You stumbled upon this amazing sale that we were never going to come across again. It's something that you had really wanted. It was going to help with your job. And in reality, like you told me about it right after. Hey, I know this is outside of what we normally have agreed on. I did this because of this reason. And I think it was the next time you saw me.
And it's a one-off.
It's a one-off. And it really wasn't even that much, but it was outside of our discretionary fun. And I didn't get upset because we had talked about long-term, you had talked about getting it in pieces actually, but the fact that you could get it all for basically the same price.
It's
killer deal.
It's about half doing it that way. And those are one-off things that are not the norm. Like arguably, usually this happens when somebody gets caught.
Yes.
And it's a habit. And not just the buying extra cookies, or for me, for a long time, it was soda. Like, oh my goodness. Right. But like those things, like there are special circumstances.
There are.
We also collectively, there's two of us. We know our financial situation that I knew in the moment that's not going to hurt us.
But we also the reason I bring that situation up is I want to help. Like, if you find yourself in that spot where maybe you have had financial infidelity and you're trying to reestablish that trust, don't wait till your spouse finds out.
Oh, yeah. And to add some context for that, this specific case is not in a point where I could call you.
Absolutely.
That's the thing that was different. Like, it was a very limited time for an event that I was at.
Yeah.
And you can't talk on the phone when you're at work.
Yeah.
That's because that's the question. I was like, well, why didn't you just call her? I'm like, you generally can't be called during the day.
Yeah. No. When I'm working, it's hard. I can't always.
So that context, there are if it's that big of a deal, call them. I would.
Normally you have before where it's like, oh my gosh, the car's broke or whatever.
Yeah. And that's one of those, our spending habits, if you will. If it's normal everyday stuff, groceries, gas, bills, we don't sit down and we go over our budget, but hey, I'm going to pay the internet. It's past what I'm allowed to spend. Is that okay? No. The bills get paid.
But we've also talked about that too, of because we are constantly communicating on where we're at in the budget, if it's one of those, hey, we have to stick to the budget this month. We only have X amount of dollars for groceries. I'm going to shop a little bit different.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be doing the thoughtful little things like buying you cookies or whatever. Like we talked about in was it the last show or the show before? I don't remember. But I'm not going to be doing the extra stuff. I am going to try and penny pinch as much as possible because you have indicated to me that's what we need to do. And I stick with it. You've done the same thing. So it's all about communication.
This is an audio show.
I was like, do we need a
silence? Oh my goodness.
As he gazes upon her lovely face.
All the time, my dear. All the time. So budget, the grand gestures and those things, you can plan them and not ruin the moment.
Absolutely.
And that's oftentimes that's missed. Like, oh, I want this to be a secret. Well, tell her then, but you can budget the grand gesture and the little things. Yeah. Like, we have a coffee budget.
Yes.
Me randomly bringing you coffee during the week is in the coffee budget. It's not just like a
in part, a lot of that this all goes back to communication 100%. Because we have this running joke that started when I was younger of right around Christmas time. You don't open any boxes that come to the house unless previously authorized by fill in the blank. My mom used to tell us, I'm expecting a package. Don't open it. Because when we were kids, we would just rip into anything that came to the door. But, we've carried that even into now. Like, you did that for my birthday. Hey, I am expecting something. Don't open anything if I'm not there because you don't want to ruin the surprise.
I did that for you for a month.
I know. And I was like,
don't open any of the boxes from anything that says Crutchfield this week.
You said
you have no idea who Crutchfield is.
I do too.
Who's Crutchfield?
That's the auto part. It's a mechanic place.
Close. I'll give you that.
I know what they sell, but I know that's where you get all the car parts. But really, like, I asked you, I was like, is it okay for me to open Amazon? Because I think I was, when you said that.
And I couldn't remember.
I know, it was terrible. I'm like, so I've got these packages coming in and I'm like, can I open this?
I know. I ordered stuff too. Which ones can I open?
I know. So anyways.
We have to clarify this because some guy is going to listen to this and be like, I didn't hear any of the show because your wife's wrong. Crutchfield is audio for everything. Just audio. Car stereos, TVs.
Then what am I thinking of?
I don't know.
You get the magazines all the time.
American Muscle.
Is that what it is?
That's where I get car parts for my car.
Okay.
Or Steeda. Either one of those.
See, and this is where the division of stuff comes into place. Goodness. I know you buy stuff from there. I don't care.
Not often, but I bought your birthday present from Crutchfield, but it is audio and
I'm getting an upgrade in my car and I'm so excited. Yeah.
Anyway. Budget, plan for it, be honest, come clean, understand the damages, find a way and make a plan to recover from the financial and relationship issues and get outside help if necessary.
I would say if you have really truly committed financial infidelity, the professional help is more likely than not going to be needed. So this is probably one of those shows that I would stress more than any one of the other ones. If you have committed financial infidelity, seek professional help, because the other side of it is you may have something undiagnosed. And I forgot to point this out because there are some things that cause spending addictions, which this is a symptom of. And so if you do have an ongoing problem, your spouse can probably be the one to help point this out. Professional help is probably going to be needed.
Yep.
And that's okay.
Any other thoughts?
No.
All right. On the line of professional help's probably needed. We are not it.
Mm-hmm.
We are not mental health professionals. We, not this time, but try to take a comedic look at life and marriage. This is a serious one, but one that needs to be addressed. So if you have issues like this or any other issues that you think need help, go find a wonderful therapist in your hometown. Check us out on the socials. My Wife Still Likes Me, mywifestilllikesme.com. Comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell, and tell us what you want to talk about. See ya.
Bye.